The series is cancelled. Expect legal action, Dad declared at the family barbecue. All because I refused to invest in my golden child brother's new restaurant. I didn't fight. I simply nodded, walked away, and the next morning, they woke up to frozen accounts. The smell of grilled ribs and sunscreen hung heavy in the air. The kind of Midwest summer heat that made everyone a little too loud and a little too tipsy. I was standing by the cooler, sipping a beer, when I heard my dad's voice boom from across the backyard. "We're canceling the cruise." That shut everybody up. Aunt Marcy froze mid-laugh. My cousin Brian stopped stuffing his face with potato salad, and even the kids running through the sprinkler turned to look. My father, chest puffed and red from the sun and pride, stood near the patio table like he was about to deliver a eulogy, or maybe a sermon. "We're canceling it because Alan here thinks he's too good to help his own brother," he added, gesturing toward me. I didn't flinch. I've had a lifetime of practice. "My name's Alan Dorsey. I'm 38 years old. I live in Des Moines, Iowa, where I run a chain of successful car washes, nothing glamorous, but honest, clean work. My younger brother Ben, on the other hand, has been chasing one get-rich-quick scheme after another since high school." Dad let the words hang, feeding off the silence. "We were supposed to take a family cruise in August, all of us. But because someone decided not to support Ben's restaurant idea, we can't." I didn't look at Ben yet. I was too busy watching the shift in the crowd, the way relatives glanced at me, some already whispering, like they didn't already know. "He only needed 30 grand, Dad said, like it was pocket change. That's nothing to Alan. But I guess when you've got money, you forget what family means." That one stung, not because it was true, but because I'd heard some version of it every holiday, every reunion, every phone call that began with, "Hey, real quick." Ben stood to the side, arms folded, his expression a masterclass in wounded innocence. He'd done this before, played the victim while everyone else circled around to protect him. I'd seen it happen since we were teenagers. Ben totaled my car senior year, and somehow I was the one who got grounded. I took a long sip of my beer and stayed quiet. Mom stepped in then. She moved in that fluttery, overly careful way she always did when things got tense, like walking too quickly might make it worse. "Alan, honey," she said softly, "he's your brother. He's family. Don't you think he deserves some help?" I turned to look at her. She wasn't pleading exactly, not yet, but her eyes were already wet. She always cried first. And Ben, Jesus, he had the nerve to look hurt. Like my saying no after all these years was the real betrayal. I set the beer on the patio table and said, quiet but clear, "I'm not doing this again." Then I walked past them, past the stunned silence, past my dad's mouth hanging open and my mom's trembling chin. I didn't slam the gate. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't give them the show they wanted. I just left, because for once, that was enough. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. The kind of early where the sky's still that weird purplish color and the house feels too quiet. I didn't even brush my teeth before I grabbed my laptop and logged into the family trust account. Click. Frozen. College fund account I shared management of with Dad. Click. Frozen. The rainy day account we all contributed to but somehow only Ben ever withdrew from. Click. Frozen. I wasn't doing anything illegal, just finally asserting control over what had technically been under my name the whole time. I closed the laptop, poured a cup of coffee, and sat by the window, watching the street come alive. Kids biking, a jogger, the neighbor's yappy dog. My phone buzzed. "Dad, 7:08 a.m. What the hell is this, Alan?" Then came another. "Dad, 7:09 a.m. You touched those accounts again and I swear." I muted him, swiped the whole thread away like trash. 10 minutes later, my mom's email popped up. Subject line, "Please don't do this." She opened with her usual soft tone. "Alan, sweetheart, this isn't like you. Your father is just upset. Ben is devastated. Can we please just talk before this gets worse?" I closed the email without responding. By lunchtime, it was a full-blown barrage. The family group chat lit up like it was Christmas Eve. I watched it unfold from the kitchen table while I ate toast. Ben, 1:12 p.m. "Wow, you froze everything? Really? Man? After all I've been through?" Aunt Marcy, "Alan, this is so out of character for you. What happened to being the stable one?" Mom, "Please, call me. Dad, you're going to regret this. We all are." And then came the guilt, the sideways jabs. "Ben, can't believe you'd let your own family suffer like this. After everything we've done for you." I nearly spit out my coffee. I tapped the screen and held down on the group chat. Blocked. Just like that, silence. For the first time in years, I wasn't carrying their problems on my back. I wasn't the emergency fund. I wasn't the fixer. I was just a man with a cup of coffee in a quiet kitchen, watching the world go on without needing to explain myself. It felt peaceful. I took another sip. My phone buzzed again, a spam text this time, and I smiled, genuinely smiled, because at least that message didn't come with strings attached. This time, I wasn't backing down. I knew they'd show up. Honestly, I thought they'd wait a few days, maybe let the dust settle. But no, they came that same evening, just after sunset. I was halfway through reheating some leftover curry when I heard the knock, hard and angry, not a neighbor knock. I didn't even have to look through the peephole. When I opened the door, Dad was front and center, jaw clenched, that same red in his cheeks he always got before a blow-up. Mom stood behind him, wringing her hands. And Ben looked like a kid who'd just been told his birthday party was canceled. "Let us in," Dad said, pushing past me before I could answer. I didn't stop him. Let them talk. Let them see I wasn't the same guy who always gave in. Mom walked in slower, already teary-eyed. Ben followed last, arms crossed, fake hurt pasted all over his face. You want to explain this crap? Dad barked, spinning around to face me. Freezing accounts? Blindsiding us? Humiliating your own family in front of everyone. I kept my voice level. I didn't humiliate anyone. I protected myself. Mom stepped forward, soft-voiced. Sweetheart, this isn't like you. This is vindictive. That stung, but I let it pass. Ben jumped in. All I wanted was a chance. One shot to build something of my own, and you're over here acting like I asked for a kidney. I finally looked at him. You've had 6 shots, Ben. 6 businesses, 6 bailouts. You know how many I've had. He didn't answer. Just one, I said. And I made it work because no one bailed me out. I figured it out, while you burned through money and got applause for trying. Alan, Mom started. I cut her off. You want to talk about money? Let's talk. I walked over to the bookshelf and pulled out a folder I had prepared that morning. I laid it flat on the dining table and flipped it open. Here's a spreadsheet of every loan I gave Ben. Over $80,000 in total. Here's proof I covered his rent, his car note, even that Vegas supplier conference. I flipped to the next section. Here's the family cruise deposit, paid entirely from my account. And here's the college fund I started for Maya, that Ben tapped into 2 years ago, without even asking. Ben's face went white. Dad's voice cracked. You've been keeping records? I had to, I said quietly, because nobody else seemed to remember. Mom finally sat down. She looked like she'd been hit with something heavy. Why didn't you say something? She whispered. I did, I said. You just didn't listen. Ben stood there frozen. Dad looked at the documents like they might catch fire. For the first time in my life, I watched both of them run out of words. Now, I said, standing tall, I want you to leave. Dad started to speak again, but I raised a hand. We're done tonight. We'll be civil if we ever speak again, but you won't manipulate me anymore. Not with guilt, not with fake emergencies, and sure as hell not with loyalty. No one moved. Please, I said, this time more gently. Go. And this time they did. They didn't go quiet. I thought maybe, after I laid everything out, after I showed them the receipts, the bank transfers, the years of financial rescue missions, they'd at least take a breath, reflect, back off. But no, that's not how my family worked. By the next morning, they were online, full tilt. It started with a Facebook post from Mom. A picture of her and Ben from some picnic 2 summers ago, arms around each other, smiling like nothing was wrong. Caption, we may not be perfect, but at least we still believe in loyalty, kindness, and supporting each other when it matters. Family is forever, even when others forget what that means. It didn't take long for her friends, mostly church ladies and old co-workers, to jump in. So sorry you're going through this. Some people just forget their roots once they make money. You've always been the heart of that family, Carol. Then came Ben's post. More direct. He didn't name me, but he didn't have to. Ben Dorsey. Crazy how some people will spend years pretending to be the hero, only to show their true colors when you ask for a little support. Not everyone with a big bank account has a big heart. I trusted you. That one got traction. Old friends, high school buddies, even some extended families started chiming in. It spread fast, faster than I expected. But here's the thing about stories like theirs. They only work if the person they're aimed at stays quiet. So I didn't. I took a deep breath, sat at my desk, and pulled everything together. Screen grabs, receipts, even the folder I'd shown them in person. No rage, no name calling, just facts. My post. I wasn't going to respond. I hope we could handle things privately. But since this is all public now, I'll share a few things too. Over the last 10 years, I've given more than $80,000 to family, mostly to cover failed businesses, late rent, car payments, and even luxury expenses dressed up as emergencies. I've paid for family vacations, covered private school tuition, and co-managed college funds that others drained behind my back. I never asked for repayment, only respect. Last week, I declined to invest in a 7th business attempt after losing money in the previous 6. In return, I was publicly blamed, privately berated, and now publicly smeared. Attached are documents and screenshots for anyone who wants the full picture. I hit post and put my phone down. An hour later, the tide shifted. Comments started trickling in, then rolling. Wait, this changes everything. They used you. Wow. The fact that you still kept it civil says everything. By evening, Mom had deleted her post. Ben's was still up, but people were now asking questions. Hard ones. His friends stopped commenting. A few even unfriended him. I didn't celebrate. I didn't gloat. But when I walked past the hallway mirror and caught my own reflection, I saw something new. Not bitterness, not smugness, relief. Because this wasn't just about money anymore. It was about truth. And finally, reclaiming mine. The envelope arrived 2 days later. Thick, cream-colored, too formal to be anything good. I already knew who it was from before I opened it. My father always believed in doing things the proper way when he wanted to sound threatening. Sure enough, inside was a letter from a law firm I'd never heard of. Something generic, something loud. Cease and desist / allegations of defamation. They were threatening to sue me for defamation of character, financial interference, and, my personal favorite, intentional emotional distress. I laughed out loud. The wording was stiff and full of half-truths, like someone had given the lawyer a story with all the context stripped out. No mention of the fraud. No mention of the unauthorized withdrawals or forged signatures. Just a sad little narrative about a son who turned on his poor, well-meaning family. I didn't even flinch. I had been waiting for this. I took a picture of the letter and texted it to Erin, an old friend from college who now worked corporate law and loved nothing more than ripping apart bad cases. Me. Guess what just showed up in my mailbox? She called me 5 minutes later, practically giddy. You want me to make them regret this in writing or in person? I smiled. Start with writing. We'll see how far they want to push it. Her response letter was brutal, precise. Every accusation dismantled with attached documentation. Every vague complaint countered with bank records, emails, and signatures that weren't mine. She even included a line offering full transparency. Should this escalate, we are prepared to disclose all financial records, family trust documents, and communication histories in a public courtroom setting. The final sentence made me laugh out loud when I read it. If this is the route your client wishes to pursue, we welcome the opportunity to clarify the full history under oath. I hit send. Then I waited. It took less than 48 hours. The law firm replied, curt and clipped. Our client has decided not to proceed at this time. Of course they didn't, because bluffing only works on someone who's scared. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't scared of my father, or my brother, or the noise they made when I said no. That same day, I took care of the final ties. I removed my name from the family house's mortgage, canceled my role as secondary on the utilities, erased myself from every shared account and document. And when it was done, when it was all untangled, I sat down in my living room, alone but light, really light, like I was finally holding my life in my own hands. No guilt, no strings, no more being the guy they called only when something was broken. I was free. I didn't hear anything from them for a while after that. No calls, no texts, no more legal threats, just silence. It was strange at first, the kind of quiet that feels too big, like it's holding its breath. Then I started hearing things. Not from them directly, of course. They'd never admit it. But news has a way of traveling when you stop being the one propping everything up. First came the restaurant. Ben's big idea, the one he swore would turn everything around, never even made it past inspection. The building he leased had code violations up and down, faulty wiring, broken plumbing, expired permits. Apparently, he had rushed through all the paperwork, convinced the funding would just magically appear if he asked loud enough. It didn't, because this time, I wasn't there to make the phone calls, cut the checks, or smooth it over. A week later, someone from my dad's old country club called, an acquaintance of mine, not even someone I was close to. Hey, man, just wondering, is everything okay with your folks? Heard they missed their last couple mortgage payments. Their name came up at the bank. I didn't even pretend to be surprised. Turns out, after I froze the accounts and pulled my name, they hadn't been able to keep up. My dad had been living off the assumption I'd keep paying half the bills, the same assumption that had kept their lights on, car running, and fridge full for years. Now they were drowning. And suddenly, their carefully constructed life, the weekend getaways, the wine-soaked holidays, the backyard BBQs with matching shirts, was cracking wide open. I never said a word about it online. I didn't have to. Other people started noticing. Old friends of my parents began commenting on their old posts, asking gentle but public questions. Hey, Carol, everything okay with the house? Saw a foreclosure notice listed. And the real kicker? People started sharing my post, the one I wrote a few weeks back with all the receipts. Apparently, someone had screenshot it and passed it around. It got reposted on a subreddit about financial manipulation, and the comments? They weren't on my family's side. People were sharing their own stories. Siblings who leached off them, parents who treated them like retirement plans, cousins who went silent until they needed a down payment. And for the first time, I didn't feel alone in this. One comment stuck with me. It's not ungrateful to cut off people who only see your value in dollar signs. It's survival. That same week, I moved into a new apartment downtown. Nothing fancy, just mine. Clean walls, quiet neighbors, no shared accounts or forced Sunday dinners. No guilt hanging in the air. And when I unpacked the last box, I didn't cry. I didn't even sigh. I sat on the floor, cracked open a cold beer, and let the silence settle in. Not heavy, not loud, just peace. It had been almost 3 months since everything collapsed. Since the cruise was canceled, the restaurant flopped, the house slid toward foreclosure, and the social media smear campaign backfired. I was settling into my new place, falling into routines that felt real. Quiet mornings, honest work, phone that didn't buzz unless I wanted it to. I figured that was it. The ending. The clean break. But then I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. No spam filter. No, maybe Ben, or maybe Dad. Just a simple name. Harold Dorsey, my grandfather. I hadn't spoken to him in years. He was the kind of man who didn't say much unless it mattered. Always polite, always measured. In our family, he'd been more myth than man, the quiet backbone who paid the property taxes without a word while my father took credit for keeping the house afloat. I let it ring once more before I answered. Alan, he said, his voice calm but steady. I was wondering if you'd be free for a visit. I paused. Sure. Everything okay? I'd just like to talk, he said. Come by tomorrow. I'll be home. The next day, I pulled into his long gravel driveway just outside of town. The old farmhouse still looked the same, white paint peeling, wind chimes rattling softly from the porch. He was sitting outside in a wooden rocking chair, waiting like he always had. He didn't waste time with small talk. I've been watching all this unfold, he said. Your father, Ben, the money, the mess. I said nothing, just waited. I may be old, but I'm not blind, he continued. Your father's been using my name to float that house for years. He told the family he owned it outright, that he was the one keeping everything together. I let out a slow breath. Sounds about right. Grandpa nodded, almost like he was confirming something to himself. That house has been in my name since 1979, he said. I paid it off in full before your father ever moved in, and I've been paying the property taxes ever since. I blinked. Wait, so? He raised a hand to cut me off, then pulled a manila envelope from beside his chair. I changed the will, he said simply. The house now belongs to you. Effective immediately. My heart skipped. What? They used you, Alan, for years. And when you stopped giving, they turned on you like wolves. But you never once tried to hurt them. You just left. That tells me everything I need to know about what kind of man you are. I took the envelope, hands suddenly shaky. Inside, paperwork, notarized, deed transfer, signatures. It was real. They've got 30 days to leave, he added. Not unkindly, just firmly. Legal notice will go out next week. I didn't know what to say. Thank you didn't feel like enough. He just gave a small nod. You earned it. Back at home, I sat with the envelope in my lap for a long time, not smiling, not angry, just steady. The house, the symbol of every guilt trip, every manipulation, now belonged to me. And soon, they'd be the ones packing. Finally, I had the power, and I was going to use it with more dignity than they ever gave me.